Go and throttle up.
Yo, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Nerd Ledger. We are your nerdy hosts. I'm Cage. That's Chair over there. Yeah, this is the Nerd Ledger. We do this every week. We're live on Twitch, 5:30 p.m. PST. We talk about all sorts of nerd stuff. And then obviously we release the audio as a podcast and post it on YouTube as well, so you don't have to be here when we're live. But being here when we're live is great because, you know, there's like live interactions and stuff.
You can post in chat for us to ignore you or accidentally miss your post. You can just contribute to the giant mass of Twitch chat. You know, it's great. Always good to, you know, contribute and be part of a crowd, you know.
Well, yeah, and also we don't get chatters, so we won't miss your message, I promise. We'll respond to everything until the point where we
can't.
Now.
Yeah. Until there's like 100,000 people.
Yeah, which will never happen, but you know, manifesting or something, right? So you have to speak it into
power of manifestation. Yeah, dude.
Sure.
I want to get paid to sit around for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week to talk shit about video games and comic books and all that nerd stuff and make that my life. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I could buy a bunch of nerd stuff I want and put it in the office and use it as a test.
Yeah, see, I already have all my nerd stuff back behind me.
Yeah, but I don't. I need to get more. I need to get my Gunplas and all my Warhammer 40k armies. Would be great for a tax write-off. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you're not watching live or the YouTube video, you won't be able to see all these epic, cool things I have back here. But it's okay.
They are pretty cool. There's a lightsaber. There's some figurines, and there's some Funko Pops.
Yeah.
Speaking of which. Last weekend, Kaje and I made our first public appearance to the crowd of millions of adoring fans.
Yeah.
At Sac Anime.
Yeah, there were huge crowds there just for us.
Just for us, we couldn't walk without getting swooned by all these Genshin Impact freaking cosplayers, and they're like
just
wearing panties in
dead
public
in front of us because we're so famous. No, actually, people just do that at cons. It's fucking annoying.
Yeah. But it was fun, though. It was my first convention experience. So, you know, I didn't realize... I think I just underestimated what cons were, and maybe I should go to, like, a bigger convention. But, you know, I just didn't realize it was you pay to get into a place where you buy stuff.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, so now I know what a con is, and so we'll see which ones I do and do not go to. Yeah. And but it was a good time. I enjoyed. There's this. We tried to get to Tom Kenny's booth, but it was swamped the entire time. And every time we went there was more security, more pushing, more shoving. People were sitting around or like, you know, sneaking in the line, and it was just a shit show. And I just didn't want to deal with all that because I get stressed out easy, especially when there's like tons of people involved. So, and then on top of that, I had to pay $60, which is stressful on its face. So. Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to meet Tom Kenny, the legendary voice actor of SpongeBob, but you know, it is what it is. Still saw some cool stuff. Bought a book. I need to crack into it. I followed her on Instagram, though. So she seems like a really nice lady, and, you know, that's the dream, being an author at a convention, selling your fantasy to somebody else.
Absolutely.
It's, you know, it's great. So it's good to keep I'm glad to contribute to it one day. Hopefully I'm not an author yet because I haven't published anything, but, you know, it's nice to contribute to an author, and hopefully one day someone will contribute to me. I really need to crack this book, though. I've been going to, but these last few days have been such a blur. Monday, I didn't do anything all day. I literally sat around the house all day and smoked a bunch of marijuana. And then after I finished what I was doing, I stopped smoking at 3, and then I cleaned the house compulsively for 4 hours, like with some serious crackhead energy. And yeah, the house looked great after, so that's all that really mattered. And yep, that was the weekend for us.
Nice.
What else did I buy?
I mean,
what else?
Well, so it was your first convention experience.
Yep.
Did you feel like it was worth it, or do you feel like it's something that's like it's great to experience once, but you don't need to do it again?
$20. It was $20 for that ticket, right? For a single day pass.
Yeah, it was like 25, I think.
Then yeah, that's not that bad. Then I think it's $25 value to go see some cool stuff you probably won't be able to buy anywhere else except for exclusively at that convention. Like, you know, something like really specific to you. Like fantasy nerd. Like if I had more burnable cash, I probably would have bought that mug, you know, or just cause. But I don't have any burnable cash right now, so I'm not paying $55 for a mug that I can buy online for $25. So,
Yeah.
there are a lot of cool things there. There was such an excess of art though, and I think this problem is I already own a lot of art personally because I've been supporting arts for a long time. So
Yep.
I'm kind of like I'm already all kind of full up on personal pieces, and I also don't live in my own house, and I would definitely put art up on the walls if I lived up in my own house, but I don't. So, not no room for that or anything like that. I think it'll be worth it more and more as I continue to build my real estate career and to get more unstable fitting. Right now, the market's just in a really volatile place, so it's really hard for new agents, because it's hard for veteran agents right now because nobody wants to hop in the market. And and if you do hop in the market, like, wow, I understand things are really difficult, confusing, rates are high, and like inventory is low, so I better work with someone who knows what they're doing. And most of the time, they're not going to come to someone who just start out. So I just gotta wait a few years and people will start to trust me when you say, yeah, I've been in real estate for a few years now. Two,
Yeah.
three, two is a few, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly, bro, exactly. So,
But
you
yeah.
know, but I think I'll have a better time too, and when I just understand Magic the Gathering a little more and understand what cards to look for behind those fancy glass cases, or if there's specific cards that I really want. Like I was looking for Transformers cards, but I didn't see too many there, except for that one Megatron card. But I don't, hard to be honest with you because there's only one Megatron, so you know,
Yeah.
and uh,
Yeah, I mean cons are cool and all, like it just depends like which ones and what there is to do. And if you
yeah.
like for a lot of people like who go for the first time, like
Mm.
a lot of people don't really know what it's all about sometimes, so
Yeah.
they don't
Hey,
plan
dog.
around the
Another thing I wanted to put out too, I probably would have enjoyed it more if I would have planned it maybe better to see if there were any panels that I specifically wanted to go to because I didn't realize they were having a Persona panel there, or else maybe I would
mm,
have gone. Maybe I would have left after 30 minutes if it was super cringe AF.
yeah.
But, I still probably would have gotten to check that out. So maybe I could have done a little bit more pre-research, but like honestly, I was just going there for Tom. I was freaked out. I was freaking. I always freak. That's what I always do when I do something new. I freak myself out, and then I don't plan, and then I end up having a chaotic time. So. But it was good
Yeah.
though, because you were there. You were a rock man. Cage. He's a great person to do a con with. He gets it. He gets the idea of just going row by row.
Yeah, I
Not just
mean, like that's what most people do their first time is just walk around the convention hall. Like you're not really
yeah,
aware necessarily of the panels or what they are when they are. And the even though the cons do have like some signs posted, like they don't do a good job telling you either.
yeah,
So like if you're not prepared, you don't look online ahead of time and all that stuff. You're not gonna know all the time.
yeah,
So a lot of times you just end up walking the convention halls. But if you go to cons that you want to go to because of the guests, you'll enjoy it a lot more. Like just
yeah.
be
That's what I'm
aware.
thinking too. Like if there's ever an author that they can't like what be aware of meeting them in real life, realizing their
Well,
POS.
no, just be aware that like you need to be there early,
Yeah,
or you might not be able to get in line at all.
yeah. At
Like
all, period. Yeah.
or
I
just
wonder. I
like
wonder if his booth filled up like the minute it opened. Like, do you think that happened, or do you think that maybe we would have had a chance if we were
I'm
there a bit early?
sure people who with experience probably got there as soon as they opened and just went straight to his line.
Yeah.
Other people like us were just like, oh yeah,
Well.
I'm sure we can get in line whenever, because if you've walked cons before, you've also
Mm,
seen a bunch of like not so full lines. You're like, it'll
yeah.
be chill.
Yeah, I figured, okay, like the voice of SpongeBob, like, okay, he's probably pretty popular. He's probably one of the bigger guests here, but so is like, the voice of Kratos, and like he did a couple other voices. So, I figured it'd be like, I didn't realize he was going to be the most popular guest. And, again, he canceled did you see he went back on Sunday? Actually ended up going back on Sunday for 3 hours to do more autographs.
Tom Kenny,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Dude, with the security there, we could have walked up flashing our wristbands from the day we were there and probably just made it in.
Maybe. I mean, like, I did. I told you, like when we were there,
Mhm.
like security isn't very good.
No, it isn't. I swear to God, I saw some people walking in the front door that didn't have wristbands. Like they just walked in, like they had their hands jammed in their pockets or something like that. Like, they melted in with the crowd. And there wasn't any pat downs. There weren't any lines that we walked through. There was nothing, man. That was like what really blew my damn mind. Like you just walk in, like, you have a security guard trying to waving people through that have wristbands, but like, there are hundreds of people going past him. So that was pretty fun to watch. And then again, like we were at the Tom Kenny thing, you and I saw people just jump right in line, and like I could have done that, but I'm not that kind of guy. Unfortunately, I'm kind of a huge dork, as some people would like to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you and I are pretty similar in the way that like when we see a large group of people, like
Hmm.
we want to get away from that.
Yeah, like
And like
I could see myself standing in that line. Like probably if I got in that line that minute and I was a little more aggressive about it, I maybe like after 3 hours of waiting, I could have got my damn signature, right?
right.
But I just also thought about like standing shoulder to shoulder, like all the BO smell was wafting off that hardcore off that crowd.
Bro, it wasn't it was everywhere too.
Yeah, like it was bad, and like VO, like I'm glad I took a shower that morning and I scrubbed it really nice because damn, if there was gonna be one thing, at least I was gonna smell nice. So,
Yeah. Like I get it. Like sometimes, you can't help it or whatever, like, you get sweaty and like, you smell a little bit, but like
yeah,
like just put on some deodorant before you go to the fucking convention, take a shower, like it's not that difficult. So,
yeah, yeah, for sure. And two, I think also the thing is like people walk around that don't usually do a lot of physical exercise from the day to day, so maybe it just wears on them a little bit more. It is a lot of walking. I definitely got my 10,000 steps in that day, that's for sure. But I wasn't feeling fine. I was in flops. So
yeah.
yeah. Except for those girls I saw walking around barefoot. I was like, damn, what the fuck, bro? That's disgusting. It's the grossest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I saw these girls, they were, the Flintstones, right? They were dressed up as like the
Yeah,
Flintstone
yeah, yeah.
wives, and they were totally barefoot. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah. Well, I
But
mean,
also, there's
like,
another good thing about the con. There were a lot of cute girls there, so there's that too. Like, there's just hot chicks dressed up in cosplay with like, like push-up bras and the whole
there
like,
were also like 12-year-olds with barely any clothes on, so
I didn't see any 12-year-olds with barely any clothes on. Are you sure they were 12 or are they just really petite?
Dude, trust me, there are
Are you
definitely
talking
underage
about the
girls there with like, just like that, like the leather strap right here, and
yeah,
like, bro, like they're clearly underage, and like, when I
yeah,
saw them, I pointed out to you, I was like, they didn't leave home looking like that
yeah, yeah.
because like their parents would not let them leave the house looking
Oh,
like
I
that.
think I may have missed. I think I may have missed that one because I don't remember anyone particularly too young. I remember there were a lot of hot Genshin players there. There were like streamers and stuff like that, and they were taking pictures of everybody.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't remember seeing this one
Oh
underage.
my
But
god, I
do you
saw
remember
this
like the?
one dude.
I think the weirdest part was you don't know who Anya Forger is. Sorry
No,
to cut you off, but Anya Forger is this character from Spy X Family.
is it the little pink haired
Yeah,
girl?
she's the little pink-haired girl, and it was so weird. I remember seeing some girl as a family dressed up as a Spy X fan, which is cute because the anime is really cute. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
is it's like it's not slice of life, it's a drama. It's very action-packed, but it's also really cute family, like, day to day, like just really cute family stuff happens in that show. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, that's cute. And then I look up and I see an Anya Forger body pillow. It's like, one of the lewd ones. And I'm like,
Oh,
dude, what the fuck, bro? Like that really like left a bad taste in my mouth. It
yeah.
was kind of
I
gross
mean,
that
there are
like they do
funny
sell
body
like
pillows, like the
yeah,
sexy battle
the ba
droid one
the battle
shit. Like,
droid ones, yeah. And like, if you want like a one that has an actual woman on it, I'm not like gonna fucking bash you for it. No, there are worse things.
yeah, there's just
But
way
like,
too much lolly shit
the
at
lolly stuff
anime conventions.
is definitely a little off-putting. Again, when you see girls dressed up as Anya Forger and then you look over and you see lolly like imagery like of that stuff, like it is very disturbing. Definitely, there's
Yeah,
no doubt about that. No doubt about that. That left a bad taste in my mouth.
bro, I saw this one dude. Like he already looked creepy from the offset, and he
Hmm.
asked this girl for a picture,
Hmm.
and like I just knew that this dude is gonna go home and yoink his fucking chicken to this girl's pictures that he took at
Yeah.
the convention, and that's just unsettling to me. Like,
Yeah, there was one person I really wanted to take a photo with, but I felt so nervous that I didn't. Is this you saw him at the right beginning when we went to the autographs, like and
mhm.
it was that guy. He had an iron mask on. He's Corvo Antano from Dishonored. He had an iron mask on,
Oh
kind of
yeah,
like a petticoat. Yeah, like he like with the iron mask and stuff like that. He's like that's one of my favorite video games of all time. So it's so cool to see. And I should have asked that guy for a picture. I didn't because again, I don't want to be weird because you're like you're right.
oh
Like
no no,
you're like
everybody's chill there, like for taking
yeah
pictures, but like I don't know, like that one in particular that I saw was like that made me feel a little uncomfortable just seeing that because like the way
yeah.
the dude was like looking at her and like I don't know, it's
I'm
just
afraid, I think the problem is most of these dudes think they're gonna ask this cute cosplay girl for a photo and she's gonna like become boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, there's that too. I think some people like have this fantasy in their mind and then they're like, oh babe, finally I'm gonna go back to my boyfriend.
Yeah. Well,
It's
and
like,
I've heard this mentioned before, like on YouTube videos and stuff, where people like are watching like convention like speed dating things,
yeah,
and like it is true though. Like a lot of like nerds are very socially unaware, and
yeah,
like even a lot of people there are very clearly unaware. Like they have no self awareness whatsoever.
yeah,
Like you can tell by the bo them stopping right in front of you, not caring that they're in your way, just like whatever. Like very evident they have no self awareness or they just don't care about anybody else.
yeah.
Like, but a lot of these nerds with no self awareness and like poor social woman skills will straight up follow beautiful women back to their hotel rooms and think it's okay,
Yeah,
and
like,
it's not okay.
too. Like, I know. I think they know it's not okay, but they're doing it. Sometimes they use their
Well,
social awkwardness to pass it off, like too.
I
But
think
also, there's
they also like rationalize about like, oh, I'm just making sure you get back safely or some
yeah,
shit, you know?
yeah. No, that for sure. That like, there's definitely that going on, and I don't know. For me, the thing is like, if you want to pick up on these chicks, just go to the freaking all the conventions have like cosplay like nightclubs after and stuff like that. Like that seemed to me like the more appropriate venue. But a lot of these nerd dudes don't feel comfortable in those kind of nightclub situations. Like, and I don't. So, of course, I would love to have an awesome anime cosplay girlfriend. Like that's every Nate, gamer nerd's like dream. But it's just I'm just a really socially awkward person. If it hasn't happened yet, it hasn't happened yet, and I just definitely. And I also, but another thing, good thing, I guess a good thing about me is like I don't like making people uncomfortable. I'm really empathetic in that way, so I try not to creep out women.
Well, yeah. Especially because you know what it's like to feel uncomfortable because the
Or-
whole experience is uncomfortable,
Yeah, like
right?
it really is. Like when you're getting harassed by someone who, like, getting unwanted attention from someone is very, it's a very bad feeling, and say please go away. Like it sucks.
Yeah, and
Uh,
especially like, you know, for a lot of people going to these things that are like socially unaware or like very introverted, and like they show up in a cosplay and everybody's staring at them, like they're like, ah, shit, like
yeah,
that's already uncomfortable. And then to have like these like grown men coming up to you, be like, can I take a picture of you? Like you're
yeah.
just like, oh shit, dude. Like, yeah, I guess, but that's fucking
Yeah, honestly,
chill
I feel
out.
like the best way to get like a anime cosplay GF is to be a photographer. Like honestly, dude, like just say I'm a professional photographer. I love anime, and then like it'll just happen.
Well, I mean, or
Uh,
just be like a normal person.
yeah, that too.
Like like I've been going to conventions for like over a decade, and like I have plenty of pictures with women cosplayers, men cosplayers, like tons of
Yeah,
pictures because like it's very
man, I
simple. It's
really
like,
should
oh,
ask
I
that
love your
Corvo.
cosplay. Can I get a
Yeah,
picture with you?
like my knee-jerk reaction was go like, "Hey, Corvo, can I get a picture really quick?" Because it just looks so badass, and I love Dishonored so much, but I just didn't. So next time I gotta remember to just do it.
All right, or just
Or
tell
maybe
me.
next
I'll
time.
ask for you.
No, yeah, I'm 27-year-old man, okay? I need to learn how to
Hey,
do this shit myself.
I used to be that like the same way. Like I would never ask people for pictures. Like in Captain Hot Sauce, we'd go to conventions together. He'd be the one all the time asking for pictures, and I would never
Yeah.
ask because like like I get nervous about it. Like,
Yeah.
but
Because you're worried about bothering someone's day, like, it's a thing, like, you're worried that,
right.
like, or you, like, look weird. No, I'm always afraid, like, that I look too awkward or shuffly, and, like, someone's gonna give me, like, one look and say, oh, I don't want to take a photo with this guy. No, it's
Well,
not usually the case at all.
well, for me, it's like we internalize these things. And we're like, oh, we don't want to bother them. Like they're just trying to enjoy the con, like go about their day. But like we don't realize that like a lot of people are very flattered by that. A lot of people go
Yeah,
hoping that they get asked for pictures.
yeah, I bet that would have made that guy's day that I knew who he was, because I knew him by name, Corvo Antano. Like,
Yeah,
he's badass. Freaking
yeah.
He's just fucking Dishonored 2 made him even more badass. And he has, like, he raised a badass assassin daughter. So, it's just bullshit.
Yeah, but I mean, cons are cool. They're fun.
They
Just
are. And I obviously want to go again because I sent you that on the con information for card convention. Like, I just want to go to see if there's any other cool stuff there. But like, I'm looking to see if I can. I want to verify those. I want to see if I can find those shattered glass Transformers cards in the wild at a convention somewhere and verify if they're really like worth $300. Like, that's just
well,
wild to
they're worth
me.
what people pay for them.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So I want to see what they're going for at those conventions because maybe they're only being sold to those conventions because that person selling them says maybe there's a chance someone wants to pick this up. So.
yeah, actually, when I was a kid, probably like 8 or 9 years old, when I lived in Wisconsin, they'd
Mm,
have these little card conventions as well, like card and comic collection conventions, like very small ones, similar to like the one that you sent me.
mm.
Um, at like I don't I was at like this like I don't know what it was.
I,
It was this
it
building.
seems like small conventions are coming back. It really does. I feel like that vibe is starting to come. Like, more people
Well,
are
they're
interested in out
everywhere.
there.
I mean,
Yeah,
Sacramento has a bunch of them, like SacCon and like little tiny ones, like in Elk Grove, the Stockton Con, which is actually a bigger one, but
yeah.
different things
And
like that.
there's a Sacramento gaming convention I'm thinking about going to just to check it out. Maybe I'll let you know if I go to that. And if you want, I know you're not a gamer. Well, I know you
Yeah.
are trying to be a gamer, so if
Well,
you want to check it
even
out.
those conventions will have other things, right? Like
Yeah,
they'll
Magic the Gathering is always those card vendors are always there, man. Those guys
yeah,
are hustlers. They're the
yeah.
OG hustlers.
But I remember going to these little card and comic conventions. A very small, like small hall, tiny hall. But like they would get like celebrities, like the guy who played Worf in the Next Generation was there,
Mm.
one time, and other people like other Star Trek actors have been there. So like, and I know even this one that you sent me, like they get some people. I don't know who they are. Like I think maybe athletes, old that
Yeah,
retired athletes and stuff,
athletes sign,
because it's
yeah, paying to
very
sign cards
popular.
and
Like
stuff.
from what I saw on their Instagram page, like it's a lot of sports cards, but
Yeah,
all the other card people will be there too. So,
yeah, yeah,
and it says comics, so obviously
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, definitely like
I
uh,
think sports cards are cool too. Like it's interesting to see like how they like the different shapes and sizes they've taken over the years. Mm.
yeah, and also going to conventions like in cosplay is a different experience as well. Like you'll get a lot
Yeah,
more interaction from people who either want pictures with you or just know who you are and shout at you.
yep.
Um,
Like I would have shouted at that guy.
yeah, and so it happens, but it's a different experience, depending how you go. So
Yep.
anyway, are we at our moment to shine about Ahsoka? Are we there? Are we ready?
We're ready to talk about how this is pretty good. Like
Yeah,
honestly, like it is. At least these last two episodes have been pretty good.
yeah. Well, so I talked about last week. I mentioned like we were talking about the first two episodes, and I kind of was like, they're good. They're doing what they need to do, but there's nothing like crazy, mind blowing, whatever. And hopefully we'll get there. And I feel like we're already getting there in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And it still feels very Dave Filoni esque. Obviously, like he's the showrunner, so it's going to. But yeah, the episodes 3 and 4 really they really pick up.
Yeah,
Um,
they do.
and before we get too far into that, spoiler warning. Okay,
Absolutely.
we are full spoiler people here, so we will
We
be
do. Yeah,
spoiling.
we have no idea how to have a conversation about shows without spoiling them. Like it's just not
Yeah,
possible for me and Cage and I. It's
yeah,
just it's physically impossible for us to talk about to talk about a show without just spoiling the whole thing. So,
absolutely. Yeah, so we will be spoiling it, but we'll just jump in with episode 3, which when I watched it, I thought was probably the best of the first three. Honestly, I don't know. I saw a lot of people complaining that it was like, oh, it was too short, and like they tried to jam pack too much into this short episode. But I thought it was an incredible episode, honestly.
hmm,
Um, you have this stuff with like Sabine training, right? And this will really bring people back to the whole Ray thing, I think,
yeah.
where Ray had like this little bit of training with Luke, and but people want to call her Mary Sue and all this stuff, and I don't necessarily think she is. But if you want to see how maybe people would have accepted it more, you have to look at something like this, because Sabine has been being trained by Ahsoka for a long time, still can't use the Force. Now she's being trained again, and you see all of her flaws just out there in the open. And I think
Hmm.
that's what people, especially nerds, need to see to accept the fact that like when she does, when she is able to use the Force, when she does do things right, like she's earned it at that point.
Yeah.
And so I think they're doing a great job with Sabine's Jedi arc,
Yeah.
especially because everybody could
And,
relate to trying to
and
move
see,
the cup thing.
there's another thing. Like, dude, people are saying, "Oh, she couldn't stand toe to toe against someone who's a trained lightsaber wielder." Blah blah blah. She should get destroyed. Like, dude, wasn't she practicing with the dark saber for like years, for like the first 10 years of her life or whatever? Like, she was like gonna wield the dark saber. Isn't that like her whole thing? It's why I don't understand.
Well,
It like she
people's
receives.
issues with Sabine go back to the whole she was like 15 being recruited by the Empire to create this incredible technology that could destroy Beskar armor and all this shit. And they're like, she's still overpowered, and bro. Everybody in cartoons, right? Your main cast of protagonists are all gonna be pretty much invulnerable until you need something to happen. Like that's just kind of how shows function. Like it's the same with Ezra. It's the same with Zeb. It was the same with Hera. Like Hera's the best pilot, but we don't see all her training. We just accept it because we have to. This is if we're buying into the premise, then you just buy into that, right? And yeah, Sabine, she's very smart technologically. She was raised on Mandalore. She's a weapons expert. And this episode really was Ahsoka saying, "That's great, but that's not what it takes to be a Jedi." That's why she put the helmet on, right? We go back to the whole with the blast shield down, I can't see a thing. How am I supposed to fight? And everything else like Ahsoka really brings it all full circle and says, being a Jedi just isn't about being able to use weapons and whatever. Like it's about your connection to the Force, which Sabine doesn't really have. And so we get it all, this we've all had the Force lore before, right? Starting with Obi-Wan, in A New Hope, the Force is energy field that binds us, lives their whole life, blah blah blah. And then the midichlorians thing, which everybody hated. I don't really care about it, but and then now Ahsoka's kind of version of it is like the Force lives in all living things, but it takes talent, it takes training, it takes focus to really be able to use it. And so I think all that's great. Any thoughts on all that?
No, this episode is great. The music is what just really 100% selling me on everything. The music is so good in this show. Is it who's making the music? Is it John? It's not John Williams.
It's not John Williams. But,
it's whoever's making the music is 10 out of 10. It sounds like Star Wars, but it's something completely new. Do you understand what I'm saying when you listen to the music of the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds very Star Warsy, but it's also new, which is what you should be doing. So it's really fantastic stuff, and it carries me through. Like all the space stuff looks fantastic. Like all the starfighting look great. Me, I love starfighters. It's not really like this. Episode 3 is called "Learning to Fly," right? Or like taking flight. Or taking flight.
I think it's learning to fly or something. Yeah.
Learning and that Jedi. I keep continuing. Like at first, I didn't like she had like the lightsaber builder robot guy.
Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't have the lightsaber builder robot guy with him because I thought he was kind of a one-off character. He was supposed to be kind of a joke, and like I thought his animatronic looked kind of shitty, but it's slowly starting to build on me, and I'm starting to like him a lot.
Yeah, it's also David Tennant.
Yeah, David Tennant.
So, yeah, the composer for the series is Kevin Kiner, but also Ludwig Göransson, who did all of the Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett scoring.
Well, they combined their brains together and they made something amazing. Like the music here is actually sometimes louder than the effects going on. I think it's because they know how good the music is. It's like the scenes when they're flying around, lasers are going around, and the super dramatic opera, orchestra music is playing. Is just, oh, dude, it beggars belief. It really does.
Yeah, this is interesting. So this like synopsis or I don't know article or something. It says Kevin Kiner might not be a household name like John Williams, but he's actually behind more Star Wars music than any other composer alive. As the man tapped to bring the Star Wars The Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, and Star Wars The Bad Batch, he established the sound of Ahsoka's theme on screen. He and his sons, who regularly composes with, came up with the iconic organ music of Grand Admiral Thrawn's theme. Even if you don't think you've heard his music or themes, you absolutely have. From that striking opening note of the Clone Wars, to the mystical themes of the Force in Rebels, to the military marches in the Bad Batch, he really puts his thumbprint on the sound of Star Wars.
Yeah.
But just the synopsis thing I read real quick, it just says, anyway, sorry.
No. No worries at all.
It just says Ahsoka composer Kevin Kiner is as important to Star Wars as John Williams.
Yeah,
and that's kind of to your point.
Yeah, like it's fantastic. It really is fantastic. Like if Dave Filoni's getting his own movie, it's confirmed he's getting his movie, right?
Yeah.
And if it does, and if it does really good, and they have this guy orchestrating, and then make 2 more, well, there you go. Like it's legacy cemented forever. Like, but even from this show, it's fantastic stuff. But
Yeah.
with the full movie score is just something completely different because like, it's like the soundtrack for the movie, like it goes in one long flowing orchestral piece.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's
and you can see like this series also just oozes the love of Star Wars that Dave Filoni has. I mean, even with the fucking PowerPoint transition scenes, right? The slide, the
mm,
fizz, like they
yeah.
do the same kind of things that George Lucas used. Um, but even then, we go from one great scene to another. The scene with Hera talking to the New Republic Council, essentially the Chancellor Mon Mothma and some senators, and it's just really intense and interesting to kind of see that like there's still all this kind of bureaucracy and like I really liked when Hera asked Zioni or whatever, that one guy. She's like, "Oh, did you fight
Mm.
in the war? You just kind of waited to see who came out on top." Like, I don't know. I thought all that was really great.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you didn't think Hera's prosthetics looked great in the first episode or first couple, right?
Mm.
Do you still feel that way, or do you think like the more you get used to seeing these characters, like the better everything works?
Nah, dude, her Leku still look like shit. But but I'm willing to look past it, bro. Like, it's just they look like paper mache things attached to her head, and it's just the texture of them doesn't look like skin, you know?
Hmm.
That's the thing I don't like about it is that they look paper mache. Like maybe I'm just a really nitpicky asshole who is overcritical. That could very well be true. I
Yeah.
it's,
I mean,
it's
I think it
whatever.
looks fine, but I
Yeah,
understand what you're saying.
it's passable to me. It's passable. I'm not gonna frickin' throw this show under the bus because Lucky looks like shit, And there's
Yeah.
all this other good, and then there's all this other good stuff too. Like talking about episode 4 is just not complaining about, oh man, why didn't they just do the frickin' Jedi War? And then in episode 4 is nothing but the Jedi War. But we'll get to that if we're done talking about episode 3.
Yeah.
And,
Also,
it's just go ahead.
something last week I said over and over, and I'm not going to apologize for it, is I do call them Twi'lek instead of Twi'lek, and I know that
Mm,
it's wrong, but I read it in a book ever before because they never called them Twi'leks or Twi'leks in the original Star Wars, right? Like they just got their names through other things. And so
yeah.
I read all the encyclopedias as a kid. The alien species and races one, the character ones, the vehicle ones. I read all that shit. The encyclopedias, I got all of them down here still. All this
Mm,
shit. I read all those. That's where I saw it, and I'm telling you, the way the English works, it should be Twi'lek. I get it. It's not English. It's a foreign concept. So everybody says Twi'lek, but I still say Twi'lek. Okay, it sounds better to
mm.
me. But yes, yeah, I don't apologize for that.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Like, the pronunciations are all off. Like how
But
you're supposed to
it
pronounce.
would annoy me if I heard other people pronouncing things wrong too. So I get it if it's
Yeah,
annoying to people.
yeah,
So
yeah. What else is this episode? Hair
uh
flies off on row. We see your kid. That's
yeah,
cool.
we see your kid named Jason. After I mean, obviously the allusion there or the reference is Jason Solo.
Yeah,
From obviously the Legends books as well.
yeah. There are
Han
a
Solo
couple
and Princess
references.
Leia had twins, Jason and Jaina Solo.
Hmm.
Um, they also had another kid who turned evil, such similar to Kylo Ren. Yeah.
Similar. Haha.
Huh.
Exactly the fucking same.
Well,
Like,
it's still different. It's still different. But
yeah. Oh yeah. He said that. Yeah. It's fucking Bet. It was Bet. No, what was that kid's name? He's in the Jedi Academy. I forgot what the fuck his
I
name
think it
was.
was Ben, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think something like that because they named him after
Yeah.
Ben Kenobi. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
he starts a Dark Jedi Academy, right?
Yeah.
If
He
I
just
remember
yeah.
correctly. He
And
he he starts a new Jedi War, and I was like, where the fuck? Why did they just do that?
or was it Jason that went evil?
I can't remember, bro. I haven't played Jedi Academy in so long.
Yeah, I haven't read those
I
books in
read those.
forever
I
either.
read those books in forever. Yeah, like I read
Yeah.
those when I was a kid. It's
Exactly,
such a
dude. I
long.
read those books like 15 years ago. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I mean, yeah, Jason. Yeah, again, he's a child of a Twi'lek and a human,
Mm.
and he just has human everything and green hair for some reason.
Yeah.
But uh, one of my coworkers mentioned that maybe like because his dad is a Jedi, like he has overpowering genetics or some shit,
Many
Uh,
Chlorians.
yeah. And so yeah, and Jason's there. And he's like, I heard Aunt Sabine's gonna be a Jedi. I wanna be a Jedi too.
Mm.
And he's wearing Kanan's little shoulder pad thing.
Yep.
And yeah, he's a cool
That's
kid.
the thing I forgot to mention. Like, I disliked Rebels, but I also forgot to. I want to point this out. Like, I really enjoyed Kanan as a character. I think he's probably my favorite character, like
Bro,
of the
I
Rebel
love
series.
Rebels.
Yeah,
I
I thought
fucking
Rebels was okay. I really like Clone Wars a little bit more, because it was just, I don't know, more big battle fights. Like, I guess is the best way to put it. Big space battles and stuff like that. I thought the clone troopers were all badass in the armor. It's just like all that stuff, you know. But Rebels to me was just kind of, it seemed like Clone Wars on a lesser scale. Probably a lot have more heart is probably what your argument would be, but you know, it's whatever.
Nah, I feel like the scale is equally as big. I don't know. I feel like Rebels was also on a huge scale. Yeah, like the story is more just about this band of rebels and Kanan and Ezra and whatever. But like it goes beyond all that as well, and the greater empire, and all these sieges on Mandalore, or well, there's siege on Mandalore, but like on Lothal and everything else. Like I don't know. I feel like it's still an epic, grand story, but it's also more. It's less about all the clones and all the various Jedi individually, and it's more about this band of rebels. Uh,
Mm.
but yeah, I get what you're saying. But to me, I don't know. I just love it. Like everything feels real, like not real, but like there's nothing. There doesn't feel like there's as much filler to it. To me, it just feels like every episode kind of matters, or like leads somewhere, And so I don't know. That's why I enjoy it. But yeah, to each his own and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so yeah, Hera, is pretty much told by the New Republic that she can't go assist in the Denab system. Ahsoka and Sabine, and they're flying off, and then they find the giant space ring, and
The thingamajig, the
uh,
hyperspace ring.
yeah, and once again we learn that bad guys can't aim at non-moving targets.
Yep.
But it's okay because Ahsoka dons this badass spacesuit. She looks fucking awesome in it.
Yeah, it does some cool shit.
Yeah, and
Does some really cool shit.
it's really cool. She's like
So,
fighting outside the ship and whatnot.
so she does a forced jump, but she's in space and she slices like a starfighter's like wing
Yeah,
off and it explodes and it's really fucking cool.
it's fucking
Like
sick. Yeah,
there's no other way to describe it. Like, it's super badass and freaking it's so cool that freaking what's oh my God, Sabine thinks that she freaking died. She's like, oh no, Ahsoka, and then like she sees Ahsoka just floating around like, hey,
yeah,
how's it going, bro? Yeah, no, it's typical Jedi shit.
yeah.
And I think that's when Sabine's like, oh, maybe I should be a Jedi.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it was
Then
really cool.
then they try to like land on the planet. We see
Yeah,
again.
they
People
take
might hate
so
me.
they have to, so they have to fly up to first. They have to fly up to this big hyperspace ring to get a scan of it, and
Hmm.
they're like taking turbo laser flyer and they're doing like advantages, and they get shot and they start. They think they like fly down into the atmosphere and then they track the ship as it's flying down, but
Yep.
then they bring it into the forest and cut all power and even turn off the droid. And like then they escape. Like that's just, it's kind of
But
like almost like the asteroid scene, like in a way, like then
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Except that we see, and again, you might hate the way I pronounce this. I call him Purgil.
Mhm.
Some people call him Purgil,
Oh, that's right. The whale came out of
and
nowhere.
Hugh Yang in the calls him Purgle. They're Purgil to me. Okay, they're just I just call them Purgil, but you can call them whatever you want. Space whales that in ancient times in Star Wars, people learned hyperspace travel from because all this stuff, and it makes sense that they'd be there because you know the giant ring is a hyperspace ring they're gonna use hyperspace lanes to go to another galaxy, and so yeah, we see a bunch of Purgil, which is really cool, and I think they look great in live action.
Mm.
Yeah, and then they land in the forest. They turn everything off. They're like, okay, we're gonna chill here for a bit, and then that episode ends. And I thought it was a very good episode.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
fantastic episode. When they were chasing those whales, it was pretty badass. And again, the starfighting was really cool.
yep,
I like this little. I'm starting to like this little Sith lady or Dark Jedi lady.
yeah,
She's like
Shin.
she's like a little angry cat. So I don't know. That's the way to describe it. So it's
Yeah,
it's, it's pretty entertaining to watch.
yeah. Oh, we also see, sorry, at the end of the episode, Balin, the other Sith guy, saying like, "Oh, go hunt them down or whatever, like go find them," pretty much,
Yeah.
because he's already on the surface of the planet. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then we kick off episode 4, which came out last night. Again, there will be full spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, please bounce the fuck up out of here and come back later after you watch the episodes. Much appreciated. But yeah, this episode is just like, it's just crazy. Okay, it's just crazy.
Episode 4. Yeah, there's because it's non-stop Jedi fights. So essentially, it's like they land, they start doing some scanning. Eventually, they get how do they track them again? They found the ship. How do they find the ship? It was one of the robots, right?
Oh yeah,
One of the
that's
scouting.
yeah,
Yeah,
a scouting droid or whatever
robot.
sees
Yeah.
them.
Yep.
Sees Huang out there working on the ship.
Yeah, and so
Um,
they scout back, and then they ambush them, and because I always thought Hewing was going to die in this, but he doesn't, and he intentionally sabotages the ship to let them know that they're attacking,
yep.
which is actually pretty clever because Ahsoka's like, oh, he wouldn't just freaking make a mistake and like make the ship worse. He doesn't do that because he builds lightsabers for a living,
Yeah.
and they're pretty precise objects. So he wouldn't just fuck up
Yeah.
intentionally fuck up a starship.
Sabine's just
So
been waiting for something to get mad at Huang for after he said that
yeah,
she was like the least qualified person to
yeah.
ever become a
So
Jedi ever.
yeah, do we talk about that training scene? We talked about it
Briefly,
briefly,
yeah.
but there's this cool scene where Huang's like training her, like with like the different, and there are lightsaber poses because there's a whole combat school around Jedi now, kind of like there's how like jujitsu or something like that, right?
Yeah.
There's like a whole lightsaber fighting technique. So, they open up with like this is the last episode. Sorry to take rip everyone
No,
back,
it's
but there's a
okay.
really good scene where Sabine and him are training, and she's like practicing her lightsaber stances and the cuts that associate. So you get into a stance, and then you make a certain cut with that stance. Is
Yeah.
from what I understand it.
Yep.
And then and then he said, yeah, you're a horrible Jedi, and you're bad, and you should feel bad all the time. And so Sabine really doesn't like Huang, really doesn't like Huang, which is
Yeah.
really funny.
Huang's like, I'm
So,
just saying the truth.
but cutting back to this episode, so they get ambushed and they start fighting, and then they track down they get ambushed by the Dark Jedi lady, and then uh that other guy. Ooh, everything okay there?
Yeah. I'm just gonna let some light in.
Yeah, light's important.
Yeah.
Turn the light side.
Yeah.
So they get ambushed by the Dark Jedi and then that dark armored Jedi, who everyone thinks is Ezra. But it's not Ezra because he gets killed in one hit and dies like a Force ghost or something like some evil Sith.
Dathomirian witchcraft. That's what that was.
Oh, yeah, or like a Sith assassin. I know Sith assassins are. I kind of feel like he's a Sith assassin, but that's such an obscure reference. I don't really know if that's true or not. Like, if you don't know, Sith assassins are
Well,
they're not like actually Sith, but like they're trained like in the Force lightly, so they can use the Force to like disguise themselves and do all that kind of stuff, and then
and
kill people.
I don't doubt that Marok will be back because
Yeah,
he's made of Dathomirian witchcraft, essentially, right? He's the Night
yeah,
Sister. Morgan Elsbeth has confirmed she's like a Night Sister, pretty much. And the smoke you see when he dies is like very clear that is Night Sister magic, and so
yeah.
she could just bring him back with more magic, like it does. I don't doubt that at all. So we might see other versions or him specifically come back later.
Mm,
But I did say when we talked about him last week, right? We're here. We have to talk about all the conspiracies and all the who could he be or whatever. But I did mention before all that, like, I hope he's nobody because like not everybody with a mask needs to be somebody, and so I hope it's
yeah.
nobody. And I'm glad it was nobody. Um,
Yeah.
because
So we figure out he's nobody though is because he fights Ahsoka and they do the typical samurai thing where okay, we're gonna do the swing and run past each other and then one of us is gonna die and then
yeah,
of course Ahsoka's not gonna fucking die because the show's called Ahsoka. So
yeah,
the guy so he falls to his knees and like lets out the energy and like gets out like an evil whale. And
yeah,
then the other Dark Jedi like looks over and he's like, oh shit. But then Sabine tells Ahsoka to go look for the star map. So
yeah.
Ahsoka like force runs off to go find the
Worth
star map.
noting, uh, that's also how Obi-Wan killed Darth Maul, like
Yeah.
the same exact way. They just like went through each other, and Darth Maul died.
Yeah.
And that happened in Rebels as well. I thought for a second, right? If anybody watched Rebels, the finale of season 1, you have the Inquisitor with the same exact lightsaber spinning around like that, and Kanan puts two lightsabers in between the center and breaks it.
Mm.
I thought Ahsoka was gonna do that. But I was like, hey man, maybe she'll pull the Kanan, but nope, she just pulled the classic samurai slice right through you. I come out unscathed technique. But yeah,
Yep, classic Star Wars thing, to be honest with
classic.
you. Classic Star Wars stuff.
Yeah,
So they run off, and then so basically some other dumb bullshit happens, and the star map is downloading something, and it's got like an obscure like timer for some reason to give you a sense of impending doom. But none of that's important because Ahsoka and this dude, like the big evil dark Jedi dude, like get into a really cool lightsaber fight, and it's
Yeah,
so
but
weird
before
because
that, they also have some fun philosophical discussion,
yeah, but
kind of
like sort of about like your
about
master
good and
and who,
evil, and
yeah.
also,
Also, Ahsoka says, "I'm not gonna let you bring back Thrawn as an heir to the Empire." Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Ha ha ha.
yeah, and
As if you don't know what that means, Heir to the Empire is a book about essentially the first book in the Thrawn about like there are four novels about Admiral Thrawn, which is where he comes from. And yeah, they're really good. They're actually really good books. Like really, they're really good reads, solid reads.
absolutely, yeah, and
I always recommend the Thrawn books to people.
so she, Balin, this guy, he's an enigma to me
Mm,
because we don't really know what his goal is or what he's trying to do. And he does kind of allude to like wanting to bring Thrawn back, but he has like this whole end goal thing down the line. I have no idea what, but he says to Ahsoka, like, your master like became this awful, horrible thing that destroyed most of the universe or whatever. I'm like,
mm,
yo, bro, isn't that the team you fight for? like
yeah.
like aren't you like the guy trying to bring back the Empire right now? And you're mad at Darth Vader for ruling the Empire or helping to
Mm,
rule it? Like
yeah.
I didn't really get that. It was funny because I was watching the episode. My wife was in the room and she hadn't watched any of Ahsoka. But when he said that, she's like, "But aren't they on the same team?" I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what his point is." Like, so
Mm,
obviously there's more to him than meets the eye. I think. I just don't know what his end goal is. Also, we'll say all the praises we have. I still think the star map thing is stupid as fuck.
it is like that, and that's who when they plugged it in that thing, and it's like, oh, it's got a timer, it's counting down on, and it's downloading, and
Well,
I'm gonna go back up to the ship and watch it from the ship instead of watching it from down here. Was so
the
stupid.
whole timeline doesn't make sense. Like Morgan
Yeah.
Elsbeth was in The Mandalorian season 2. Ahsoka finds her and says, "Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?" Knowing that Morgan Elsbeth knows where he is. Apparently, she doesn't have any clue where he is, but knew exactly where the map was and never went to go fucking find it. And she let Ahsoka find it, and then she's like, "Oh,
Mm.
we have to get it back." And then she needed the map to go find him. I thought she knew where he was the whole time. What the fuck do you need the map for? Also, how does the map function? How does the map know where Thrawn is? Does it know the trajectory of which he just like left the fucking world in? Like, is that how it
Mm.
knows how to try to find him? How do we know he's still there? How do we? Is it pinging his current location? Is this find my fucking iPhone? How the fuck does the map work? And okay, for
Yeah.
all the people who say star maps are very important in the old republic, I get that, but that doesn't mean anything for this. Like, I get it,
Yeah.
they mapped the universe, but how do you know
Yeah. No,
where he is?
it's really dumb. Like they could have. And two is another thing. Like where they were fighting on that beach thing, like was pretty cool, but it would have looked a lot cooler, like in the main deck of that giant starship ring thing. And I'm sure eventually, hopefully, we'll get that. But for right now, like, I just think that you're right. The star map thing is really dumb, and like, which goes back to my original point. It was founded on dumbness. Like, why is a random star map to Thrawn sitting in an ancient Dathomir temple on some planet that nobody knows about? Like, what the fuck? How did that happen? Nobody explains it. Like, there's a star map. Where's it go? Grand Admiral Thrawn. Thrawn. It's very strange series of events.
Yeah, and again, Morgan Elsbeth knew where the map was to tell Ahsoka, but she never went to go find the map.
Or herself, exactly. And another thing is like, why was it there? Like, who put it there?
Yeah, why is it on Arcanis? Like,
Why does this map exist in the first place? If Thrawn is such a fucking strategic genius, I don't think he would leave a star map pointing to his exact place where he took himself in post-exile to.
and what
You
is
know?
the mechanism by which they know his location?
Exactly.
Like, is
What do
he
you mean there's a
pinging them?
universe? What do you mean there's a universe outside the universe? That's great. It's called the multiverse. Like,
Yeah.
we could see that here too.
Well,
How do you
it's
know
not
where
even
he
that. It's
is?
just galaxies. Like, you've never been to
Yeah.
another fucking galaxy before?
Exactly, dude. It's so. Are they gonna bring in the Yuet Vong or whatever the fuck? Like, who knows, bro? Who knows? Like, definitely like the weakest part so far is this star map is so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, like they should have just had some droid that has like information, like some ancient battle droid or something like that. Then maybe like an old Imperial droid that has like records from Thrawn's ship or something like that. Maybe. I don't know. There are a lot of ways they could have done it 10 times better.
Yeah,
And
I mean, bro, they could have just had a transmitter and fucking. Oh, they couldn't have a transmitter in Ezra's lightsaber because Sabine has it.
yeah.
But they could have found something. I mean, my best guess is that they could track the ship because it was an Imperial ship, right? Like you should be able to track his Star Destroyer, and like maybe that's where they're pinging. But that doesn't mean he's still there. Like it's been a bunch of years, like what, like 15, 20 years or some shit. Who knows? Like he's not gonna be with his ship anymore. So, like, are you gonna just search the entire galaxy to find him, or are you gonna get there and realize that now he rules that galaxy?
Yeah.
Like that would be my guess. Is like he's probably been there for 10 to 15 to 20 years. Who knows? I don't know the timeline for that, but he's probably been there so long that he's worked his way up into the ranks of whatever government runs that galaxy and is essentially ruling it there as a Grand Admiral.
Yeah, or something like that. Or he's building the Imperial fleet. Freaking Dave
Yeah.
Filoni's gonna plug the plot holes of Episode 9. Oh no! Just kidding.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know that yet.
Well,
But, anyway,
he's got to plug the plot holes of episodes 7 through 9 totally. So, yeah. I mean, what are we to understand that that Morgan Elsbeth and her ilk are like the beginning of the First Order or something?
Something like that. Yeah, pretty much.
But we know Grand Admiral Thrawn doesn't come back and lead the First Order, so.
Sorry. Maybe he's the one that starts it on the edge of the galaxy, or all of a sudden they're so overpowered out of nowhere. When they have those juggernauts. It's just, but we can see so far. But again, like the music, the fight choreo, and to the other thing, like the fight choreography in this fight between the Ahsoka and the. Sorry, we're all over the place. This to our viewers, but there's a lot going on here, and we advise you just go watch it for your damn selves.
Yeah.
If you really want to be oriented. But the fights, to me, it is so strange because it was either. It looked like one of the dumbest plastic foam fights that I've ever seen in my entire life, and then they switched between that and also having like a really amazing, well done lightsaber fight.
Yeah.
Like they switched between those two. It's like sometimes they would just start swinging their swords at each other like randomly for no reason, and then they would start doing the flips and stuff that everybody likes.
For me, it was like they're feeling each other out at first. Like that's what it kind of seems like, and then like once they're more comfortable, like Ahsoka feels like she has a hang on it, she can do her little cool flippy things and whatever. Yeah. But I also really wasn't like when they first leave the ship when Huyang pulls the power, like I thought Sabine like was fucking badass, like just as as her normal Mandalorian self, with her little blasters and shit, like jumping around shooting people. I thought she looked great doing that. When she fights with a lightsaber, not as much. And obviously it's like she's still learning, and I don't know how she lasted this long this time against Shin. But she lasted much longer, and I don't know if Shin is just toying with her, like whatever. But ultimately, she wins. and goes, well, does she win? I don't know. I don't remember she won. Shin showed up way later. Yeah. Sabine won, right? Somehow.
Yeah. No. So what happened? What was it? She used her gauntlet. She used a blaster on her gauntlet to shoot her lightsaber out of her hand, right?
Yeah.
And then that lady used just smoke bombs to freaking smoke bomb, smoke bomb and smoke bombed away. Remember? And then she threw a couple smoke bombs, so it looked like she could have disappeared in any part of the woods, and then she totally lost her.
Yeah. And then Ahsoka is still fighting with Baylan, gets the map, burns herself on it, stops the upload or whatever that's like calculating the precise coordinates to get to Thrawn, because if you don't have the precise ones, you'll just like die or something. And Ahsoka essentially wins, and then Sabine shows up. And then Ahsoka starts losing, and Sabine has the map, and so Ahsoka's like, destroy it, because they talked earlier in the episode. She's like, hey, if we can't get to Ezra, we have to make sure that nobody can get to Thrawn. Like it's either we get Ezra or nobody gets anybody. And she knows that the reality is, if they have the map, they'll be able to get to Thrawn. And she's like, destroy it, because that's, hey, we got to destroy it. And Sabine's like, no, I'm not willing to give up on Ezra. And then Ahsoka gets kicked off a cliff, essentially. Into some jagged rocks and water.
Yeah. into an alternate and also into an alternate reality, maybe.
Yeah, we're not there. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. But
Copy
yeah,
that.
essentially. Yeah, and then Balin gives this very nice speech, and he's like, "We won't hurt you. You know, we'll help you find Ezra. You know, just give me the map. Everything will be chill." And then she does, and then Shin starts force choking her, and Balin's like, "Yo, I give her my word," and blah blah blah. Okay, Sabine's a prisoner. They know where Thrawn is. They're gonna jump into hyperspace. Ahsoka, we don't know what's happening with her, but Hera shows up with a squadron. It's a Phoenix squadron, a nice squadron of TIE fighters, lock S-foils in attack position, all that cool stuff. And they're like, we're gonna go right in front of the ring so they can't jump into hyperspace. And they're like,
Hmm.
why do we care if you die? We're jumping into hyperspace anyway. Yeah, a bunch of the ships collide, and Hera, disobeyed some orders and now lost some pilots. And then we see the ocean. Look, guys, the ocean. It's glowing. It looks like the space is kind of in the ocean for some reason.
Hmm.
And then we see Ahsoka, and she wakes up, and she's in the world between worlds. And if for anybody who hasn't seen Rebels or isn't familiar with the world between worlds, essentially she's not dead. We can say that
Hmm.
for certainty, right? Again, my wife was in the room. She saw it. She said, "Did she die?" And I said, "This show is called Ahsoka. She can't die,
Yeah.
not yet, at least."
Ultimate subversion of expectations.
Yeah. She's not dead. She's in the world between worlds, which isn't like purgatory. It's not a waiting room. It's not like anything like that. It's just it's a place that exists outside of space and time. It's not. In the words of Dave Filoni, he said this in the past, like years and years ago. He said, "It's not up for me to tell anybody what it is, but I can tell you what it's not." And pretty much he said it's not a way to time travel. It's not like he said even when you see Ezra there initially, and he pulls Ahsoka in from her battle with Darth Vader. Ahsoka knows she can't leave in the same door that Ezra came in. She can only leave through for the door she was pulled through, right? Which is the same reason why he can't pull Kanan out when he sees Kanan.
Hmm.
Like sacrificing himself is if he pulls Kanan in, Kanan can only return to a world where everybody else is already dead because Kanan died to save everybody. So if he doesn't die, then everybody else dies, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not you can't use it to just willy-nilly change the past, change the future. It's not there for that. It's a doorway where everything that's ever been through the Force, right? It's essentially where the Force converges, and everything that's ever been is there, and everything that ever will be. Because when Ezra goes in, he also hears voices of Rey and Kylo Ren, which is in the future from when he goes in. But he also hears Yoda. He hears Obi-Wan.
Hmm.
But the only things he sees, the only portals he sees, are ones he has a personal connection to, Ahsoka's and Kanan's. He doesn't see anybody else's, and he has no context for the other things he's hearing while he's there.
Yep.
And so the world between worlds essentially is just like, think of it as like a spiritual plane where the Force has converged. And
Yeah.
it again, it exists outside of time and space. And Ahsoka's there, and based on our knowledge from Ezra, she can only leave from the doorway she entered. And that
Yep.
leads to all these questions about, well, how does one get to the world between worlds? Well, Ezra got there while he was like meditating with a bunch of wolves at the mural of the children of Mortis, right? And that's one way, I guess. I mean, Ahsoka got there the first time by being pulled in by Ezra. So maybe it's her connection to the Force and her connection to having been there before that puts her there now, as she essentially is willing to die for the map to be destroyed or whatever it is. She knows she might not survive that fall, and it connects her through the Force, and she gets transported to the world between worlds.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I don't know if you have other thoughts or opinions on that.
I don't really have thoughts or opinions. Um, just is what it is. We'll see what they do with it in the series, and we'll see
Yeah.
how it goes. It looks visually cool, and it's also a spoiler. Hayden Christensen was there as Anakin
Yep. And
for
Anakin,
like
as he
five.
was the last
Yep.
time she saw him as himself.
Anakin redeemed maybe, or potentially maybe it's
Probably
Darth
not.
Sidious hiding in plain sight or something like that, or
So we That makes a lot of sense thinking about it that way. But
Mm.
right, so you hear his voice, right? You know, like, hey, Snips, whatever. And you know, like, you get it. You're like, well, again, it's the world between worlds, and when Ezra entered, he heard Yoda and Obi-Wan and all these different voices. And so it makes sense that you'd hear his voice, but he wouldn't be addressing you specifically. You just hear things he would have said, right? Or has said or will say, whatever. And so then just to see him there is very shocking, and because it kind of defies everything we know about the world between worlds. Like, how did he get there? Why is he there? And why is he there looking like that? And then when the episode ends, Vader's theme plays. And you're like, oh. Maybe. Maybe it's a trap. It's a trick. It's a mirage.
Yeah,
and
being duped.
One of the things we saw, you know, when you mentioned Sidious, it makes sense a little bit. Like, when Ezra was in the world between worlds before, Sidious, in one of his portals, was, like, kind of aware of it and tried to break through it. And it ended up being a big fight, right? Vader and Sidious versus Ahsoka and Ezra, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, something like that.
Which was really cool. But who knows if they're still there? I don't remember how that concluded. I'm rewatching Rebels right now, but I'm only on season 2. So when I get to season 4, I'll maybe have a better idea. But yeah, I don't know. Like, part of me feels like it's like a trap or a trick because of Vader's theme playing at the end of the episode. But who knows? Who knows? It's just, bro, Hayden Christensen, and he looks fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, he does. He, like, you know, AI. They definitely AI upscaled him.
Yeah,
like,
maybe, but he also, like,
they
in
got
real
that
life
powder
hasn't
on.
aged that much either.
They got that powder on thing with that powder on thick, bro. It's the magic. It's Hollywood magic. Makes you look 20 years younger, and then you use computers to make you look 10 years younger, and then you're 30 years younger or whatever. You're on fucking camera, brother.
Yeah.
Best. No. Yeah, no, he looks great, and you know I'm excited to see where they take it. And the show so far has been really amazing and rewarding and great. The music for me is what stands above all else. The music, as long as the music is good and like the action sequences are great.
Yeah. See, it was very when I saw Anakin back, right, Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker, like I was very excited. I thought it was really cool, but I almost was like worried that maybe you'd hate it.
Yeah.
Because
what, Ahsoka?
Well, you'd hate that, like, they brought back Anakin in a way. Like,
I mean, Force Ghosts are a thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm not unfamiliar with that. Like, you know, Liam Neeson is talking to freaking Obi-Wan or whatever, and yeah, I just.
well, I know you
I'm
hated
not.
Luke showing up in the Mandalorian.
I hated him showing up in Mandalorian because I just think that was a really good time to introduce a new Jedi Knight, and they could have done like literally anybody else, but instead they did Luke, and like I don't know, I just thought it was kind of dumb, really.
Did you feel like it took away, like, the agency away from the characters of the story, or?
Agency, no. I just felt like I don't know. He felt like a Mary Sue. Luke felt like a Mary Sue in that moment, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, Deus Ex.
Deus Ex
I know,
Machina.
Artemis. Yes, out of nowhere. Just
Yeah.
saving the day, super overpowered. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of other Jedi they could have picked from that pool and they didn't.
Are there, though?
Yeah, well.
I mean, Ahsoka, right, is obviously one of them.
Yeah.
But we saw earlier in the season, so it would have made sense for her to come back too. Honestly. Yep. And then everybody kind of was hoping for Ezra, but they were saving that story for this, I think. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, up to this point, right? The first 4 episodes of Ahsoka have been very
really
good.
good.
I think the last 2 have been the best 2, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, it's going to be slow getting into it and making us feel comfortable in the world and reintroducing us to these characters and what's happened since we last saw them. Because obviously, like, Sabine Yassam training had a falling out with Ahsoka, and now we're here, and Ahsoka's been hunting down Thrawn for all this time. But has she really been hunting down Thrawn, or has she been trying to get Ezra back? Well, she has been hunting down Thrawn. She doesn't want Thrawn to return, and she maybe is using Ezra as a manipulation tactic to get the help of the Republic. But and like Sabine and Hera and stuff. But I don't know. It's great to see these characters. I hope Zeb shows up at some point too. I mean, we saw him briefly in the Mandalorian season 3, so they have his character model and everything built up. I mean, I don't see why they can't bring him back for this. Yeah, but we've also got a lot less Chopper in these episodes, but the little bit of Chopper we get is always great. So
Yep.
yeah, a very very oh, a point of note too is after the hyperspace ring, I think they call it the Eye of Sion or some shit.
Yeah.
After it destroys some X-wing fighters, Jason does look at his mom and say that he has a bad feeling, which to me is just a note that he is force sensitive like his dad, and he will become a Jedi like he wants to be.
Yep.
So, to be fair though, Han Solo also frequently said I have a bad feeling about this, and he wasn't force sensitive. So
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but anyway, any final thoughts?
Nah, I'm excited for more. I'm sure we'll have I'm sure I'll have a more fully formed baked opinion, after we finish if the whole series is complete on its face, and we'll see what happens, where it was going, what the theme was, if there are any good morals, any major highlights. Yeah, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Well, I don't know if it's like the real significance of this, but apparently episode 5 is going to be in select theaters for some reason.
Oh shit.
It's free. It's free. It's only in some AMC's. The closest one to us in San Francisco. I'm not fucking going to see it in San
No,
Francisco.
I'm not gonna do that. It's probably gonna be
and
so,
it
it's
comes
probably
out
gonna
the
be
same
packed.
time and date as the normal episode. So why would I do that?
Yeah,
Let's
it's
just
probably gonna be
watch it when
packed.
it comes on
Well,
Disney
it's
Plus.
probably gonna be packed wall to wall with a bunch of nerds I don't want to hang out with. So
Exactly. But
yeah,
yeah, I don't think there's any real significance to it. They say it's the mid season, but like, is it really? There's 8 episodes. It's episode 5. I mean, I guess it's like the start of the second half of the season, but I don't know. Maybe
yeah,
maybe it's because it's going to be an epic episode with a bunch of Hayden Christensen. Whatever. Who knows?
yeah.
But that's a thing. So, all right. Well,
All
I
right.
hope everybody enjoyed. Please feel free to share your thoughts. Again, whenever we're live, you can watch us. When you have thoughts, you can just type in the chat. We can be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. We respond to you, whatever. If you are listening to the podcast version, you can look at the description of the episode. It'll talk about where you can reach us on social media. You can send DMs or tag us on Twitter or whatever. Ask whatever questions you might have. Tell us we suck. I don't really care. YouTube comments, whatever. If you're watching this on YouTube, any way you want to interact with us, we appreciate. You can write a review. You can rate us on podcast versions. Do all that good stuff. Like the video on YouTube. Follow on Twitch for notifications when we go live. Subscribe. Do all those good things. We appreciate you and much love. Hopefully, you'll come back next time. Bye, everybody.
Yep.